Guy who's like, oh, I want my blood to be thin. I don't want it to be thick. No thick blood for me. That motherfucker has the nuclear launch codes, bro. Let's get to Donald Trump potentially dying.
The Wall Street Journal reached out to the White House with reporting that said those close to the president say he is showing signs of aging. This led the president to give the Journal an impromptu interview, an interview that was published today. Now, the president told the Wall Street Journal his excessive hand bruising is caused by the amount of aspirin he takes, saying it's more than his doctors recommend. He says he regrets getting advanced imaging because it generated so much scrutiny over his health. He also denies falling asleep during events like this one you see here, saying he's simply, quote, blinking. While at the same time, he admits he's, quote, never been a big sleeper at night. Now, we also learned the president will not be exercising as part of his New Year's resolution. He called it boring. CNN's Elena Treen starts us off today. And Elena, let's step back for a moment. What are some of the specific concerns the Journal outlines that people close to the president have had related to age?
Yeah, so there's a couple things. One, I mean, the falling asleep.
Don't listen to the doctor, Trump. Don't do it. You know better. You know better, Mr. Trump. Mr. President, you know the most. You have the best brain. You are big and beautiful. Do not listen to the fucking silly, woke, gay doctors. And what is the gayest? Medical advice. Ugh, okay.
Dozing off. I know, I love that line. It's like I say that when I'm like, can't stay up too late with my friends.
I hate
I'm just
exercising
resting my
too.
eyes.
You're right.
But
I gotta pee.
that's part of it. But a lot of it is the heavy bruising. I mean, there was a great anecdote in this Journal piece about how Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, she was wearing a ring and like accidentally, grazed the president's hand, and he started bleeding from it. They've talked about him having thin skin. That's one example. But you see the heavy bruising. I mean, we have great photographers at the White House all the time capturing heavy makeup, bandages on his hand, him trying to shield his hand from the cameras. That's a sign of concern, some officials have said. There's also been swelling in his legs. We know part of that is due to what the White House and the president's doctors have said is his chronic venous insufficiency. Essentially, it's common in older people, but it's when a one-way valve that doesn't circulate as much blood going up the legs to the heart. And then another issue that he has as well is the fact that he doesn't exercise as much. That's why he's almost always golfing on the weekends. But when you're older, wanting to be more active, and the not sleeping as well is a cause for some concern. But look, what I found so interesting about this too, I love that you mentioned it, that they had all this reporting, the Journal, for the president. He actually does this a lot. If there's a story that he very much wants to weigh in on, even if you had no intention of interviewing him, he will call the reporters. And this is an issue that is so important to him because, I remind you, think of all the time, he still does this on whenever he has events, campaign style events, but throughout the 2024 election, all he did was go after Joe Biden for who he argued was hiding a lot of his medical issues. He called him mentally unfit and other things for office. And he's the president, very defensive when it comes to questions about his health. But that's also led a lot of people, particularly people in the press, but I think the American public too, wondering if he's being fully transparent and sufficiently transparent, really, with the medical information that he provides. So I thought this was a great look at it. And this one thing really quickly, I don't know if we have the quote, but I just need to read it because I think
aspirin on blood.
Yes, it's the aspirin on blood.
Yes.
I think this was an amazing quote that Trump gave them because he says his doctor said he takes 325 milligrams of aspirin a day. Trump says it's because he wants to thin the blood. He said this to the Journal. He said, quote, "They say aspirin is good for thinning the blood, and I don't want thick blood pouring through my heart." He went on to say, "I want nice, thin blood pouring through my heart." Again, he also said that he's not taking or he's taking a higher dose of aspirin than his doctors want.
Dude, that's awesome. I love that our president is that kind of guy. That is so sick. No, come on. I mean, he's the perfect guy for the moment. He is the perfect president for this very moment, okay? Respect. God damn it, that's amazing. Guy who believes his fucking life is his like there's a life force in him as a battery, and he is depleting it when he does any physical activity. Guy who's like, oh, I want my blood to be thin. I don't want it to be thick. No thick blood for me. That motherfucker has the nuclear launch codes, bro. Hell yeah. Fucking hell yeah.
Also was told to wear compression socks because of the swelling in his legs. He said he tried that, doesn't like it, so he's not doing that either.
Can we pull up the full screen real quick of the quote? Because it's at the very end that I think is the best part, where he's explaining his theory of the case and then asks the reporter.
It's also funny because, like, evil never dies, right? So he just kind of, like, it doesn't really matter. He can do whatever he wants, eat all the junk food, as this article showed, as we already suspected, as we kind of knew. He just exclusively eats like McDonald's and dog shit. Does not work out at all. Barely gets any activity. I mean, I guess he golfs a lot, so that's better than people his age, if we're being real, if we're being honest. He's got to smell so bad, dude. I just don't think he's going anywhere. It is pretty funny to me, a Turkish man, to watch Americans experience something that I think maybe even Russians and Turks and people in like other countries have felt, right? Like this is a classic thing that people who feel like it's not Hungarians, sure. People just go, oh, I hate that this motherfucker is still in charge. He's just dominating everything. Fuck him. Why won't he die? And then they never do. Okay? They never do. Evil never dies. But it is funny. It is funny that Americans are now experiencing that very common feeling.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I mean, I guess sort of the way you're explaining it, yes, but not according to the medical. Okay, we're just going to let this one go. This is his theory of the case. He believes it, and that's why he does what he does.
He also said, which is very true about Trump, he said, I'm very superstitious, which we know. Trump is a very superstitious man. And he said, I've always been taking aspirin. He always believed it would help him prevent a heart attack, and so he's sticking with it.
It was a great piece. It was a thorough piece. By the way,
golf is a sport for rich people to claim their high status. Yeah, but the reality is if you're like 80 fucking plus years old like Trump is, any kind of walking that you're doing on a golf course is pretty solid. Like a lot of people at that age are not doing anything, right? I know he uses a cart, but the moments that he's even standing up and walking around, that's still better than other people his age because we forget how old he is. Guys, he is very old, okay? You're forgetting how old he is. For someone who is that old, that's a decent amount of activity. He's not as sedentary as other people his age are. 79-year-olds are not, doing anything.
the president engaging on the piece actually made the piece a lot better, a lot more fulsome.
Absolutely.
Something the Biden team could have probably done in the 4 years prior. Let's discuss now with Dr. Jonathan Reiner, professor of medicine and surgery at George Washington University. He's also a CNN medical analyst. Doctor, really appreciate your time. Just last month, you said you were seriously concerned about the president's health. What's your level of concern after hearing from the president who says he's in perfect health?
Well, I'm mostly concerned that the public really hasn't been told essentially anything meaningful about the president's health here. So let's turn the clock back and look what's gone on over the last 9 months. The president had a physical exam, a comprehensive physical.
See, my grandpa golfed and he lived to be 98. There you go. There you go. Look how slender he looks too. He looks hot. I believe him. I think he should do whatever he's doing and not listen to the medical professionals. Okay.
To read, and they listed a bunch of studies which were essentially all normal. The president was great, and there was nothing else to see. Over the summer, the president developed really greatly swollen ankles, which prompted another series of tests. They called that chronic venous insufficiency, despite the fact that just a few months earlier during his comprehensive exam, the president's physician said he had no swelling of the leg. So it doesn't sound so chronic to me. It sounds more acute. And then something happened in the fall. Something happened in October that prompted an off.
Oh, yeah. I run a Trump golf tracking website. He visited his golf club several times, but didn't golf at all in December. This was the first month he went without golfing. So something could be a problem for Trump. When he stops golfing, that's when you know there might be an issue. Because remember, there was a point where he stopped golfing because he was worried that he's going to get assassinated. Like there was like a month-long period after Ryan Ruth. And he just looked so sad. He had to go into energy saving mode. Yeah, he had to put the battery on low battery mode. You know, lower the brightness a little bit, make sure that he's not firing off on all cylinders. So we'll see.
Cycle series of tests by the president's medical team. And when the results of those were released to the public, they used some basically euphemisms to describe what the president, the test the president went through. And the euphemism was advanced imaging. And they didn't describe whether it was a CT or an MR. And then later on, a few days later on Air Force One, the president basically said he had an MRI. He couldn't describe what body part, but he said he had an MRI, which prompted the president's physician again to release another statement, at which time he again did not describe the specific test the president underwent, and said that, again, everything looked fine. And now we learn that the president didn't have an MRI. He actually had a CT scan, which explains why the president's physician didn't describe the test after the president disclosed his MRI, because he didn't have an MRI. So as best we can tell, the president had a cardiac CT, or what looks like a CT angiogram, which is basically a non-invasive way to tell whether the president has any significant coronary artery disease. And in his statement to
Okay, is he going to die or not, man? What does that mean?
Wall Street Journal, the president's physician, Dr. Sean Barbabella, basically said the test looked great. There was no abnormality, which actually doesn't correlate with what Dr. Ronnie Jackson told the public in 2018 when he disclosed that the president had a similar CT scan that showed the presence of coronary calcium, which is a marker of coronary artery disease. So I'm almost less concerned about the actual cause of the president's bruising. We can talk about that than I am about why the White House medical team has felt the need to study him in the last few months. What symptoms, what clinical concerns have prompted this? Because the president is right. When you test the president of the United States,
he heals himself with aspirin. True.